What's up, guys? Just kidding. Imagine if I started every episode like that. Just surfer boy enthusiasm. No. Welcome back to another episode of the Ouroboros podcast. We are closing in on the last cards of the major arcana. And I feel like I did a slight miscalculation. I didn't pre-plan the outfits that I was going to wear for each episode. So today we are going to be discussing the star card. And to match the card, I am wearing some of the key colors, but I chose to wear a crochet sweater that I made, and it is for sale on my website. If you're watching and you're like, "Ooh, that's a great sweater. I love that sweater." I would say it's like a size extra small or small, um, but yeah, the colors just fit really perfectly. So I was like, you know what, I'll wear that for this card. But of course, I'm filming on a day that's like, dude, it's like 30 degrees. It's so humid. We've been expecting rain. I think we did get some rain, but oh god, it's it's rough. But I'm sticking to it because it's a look. Um and yeah, I like it. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about the star card today. So, if you're watching on YouTube, you can check out the screen. Well, if you're watching already, you won't have to take action to check out. Anyway, doesn't matter. The card is going to be displayed on the screen so you can get an idea of the different elements that we've got going on in this particular card within the major arcana. So this one, it's got a lot of like warm, soft hues. I included some like yellows and orange. There's a sort of these hints of purple as well. And some of the key features of this card are one, the along close to the bottom, there's like this ancient city that uh, sort of, it's not exactly ruins. I mean, nowadays it might be, but this is like this ancient city at its prime, and um, it's got like this temple that kind of points upward towards the sky. Obviously, that's what's up. What's up, dog? I'm in a weird kind of zone today. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, so we have this sort of like ancient looking building, a temple, and then up in the corner, I'm not going to specify which corner because I guess it depends how you're looking at it. Up in the corner, there's a chandelier. And I thought this was like a fun little thing to incorporate into uh, the star card because it kind of like has this essence of glimmer to it. Like there's sparkle to a like crystal chandelier, and it brings light. Um, and yeah, it's a really intricate, ornate piece to have in your home or just any building. So I really liked that as like a representation of the star from like a created perspective. So when we talk about the star card, it's interesting actually because I also know of someone. I have a friend in my life who the star card really resonates with her in such a way that whenever it comes out in a reading, it's like a confirmation that like we're talking about her kind of thing. Like, is it's a nod to her being like, this one's for you. Um, and I really love that. You can have that kind of relationship with a different card, depending on how your deck communicates with you and sort of what you resonate with. So that's like a fun little thing to discover as you develop a relationship with your own deck of cards. Um, but yeah, with the star card, this card is a really beautiful symbolic piece to represent hope and spirituality, faith, a connection to something beyond yourself. Um, and you may have already guessed it, but the imagery of the star in a variety of cultures, like I'm talking several cultures across the world, have this idea that the star represents the beyond. And it's inherently a sign of spirituality. For some cultures, it's a representation of those who have passed on, ancestors, um, just those in like the spirit realm who are guiding us on our way. And in other cultures and religious practices or beliefs, it is an indication of like a pivotal moment, um, and like a burst of spiritual hope for something. So, um, I mean, I've mentioned it before with my very limited background in Christianity. We have the image of the star that like guides all these different groups of people to the birth of Jesus. So there's that very um, talked about, I guess, perspective and symbolism through religion of the star. So, no matter the culture or like religious aspects it stems from pretty much every resource that I could find, it was a connection to the beyond, a connection to the divine, um, this like vibrance of hope that shines, um, and it acts as like a guiding light. So this is a really really great omen to get in a reading. In a way, it can be like if you were to get, say, the high priestess reversed, so a sign that maybe you're feeling a little disconnected from your spirituality, your intuition, that kind of thing. The having the star come up in either the same reading later on or the following reading that you do can be a confirmation that you've like realigned on this path, or you have had sort of this touch of hope that's going to spark something for you, um, and sort of put you back on track. Um, we can also think of the stars as something that, I guess, there's like an element of destiny or foresight to it as well. Because if we think about like star signs, the zodiac, which we have talked about previously with the Wheel of Fortune, and I have touched on it a little bit on the different zodiac signs and how they correlate with specific uh, cards in the major arcana. The star is no different. The star is connected to the water bringer, which, believe it or not, is not a water sign, but it is Aquarius, the air sign. Um, so, yeah, the traditional imagery very much uh, compares to the imagery of the Aquarius zodiac. So there is some overlap there, but um, yeah, the star is like a fantastic card to have come out, and it brings about a lot of um, sort of like rejuvenating qualities when it comes to your connection, or if you're looking for even like a confirmation that you're on the right path. This can be sort of quite literally the light in the dark. Um, and I really love that it comes about so literally, like thinking about the stars in the dark. I know there are certain, um, like not necessarily negative aspects, but with the reverse of this card, there may be the questioning of your connection to faith, or your spirituality, or there's like this faltering of hope. Um, and of course, as I always try and remind you guys, it's really important to look at the cards surrounding this card when it comes out in a reading, because it's going to give you a lot more information that really tethers you to whatever the topic is, that you're trying to explore. So at face value, generally a good omen. um, in reverse, this is just maybe an acknowledgement of your own questioning of certain things, an instability of your own practices and spirituality may come into play as well. Um, but yeah, the connection to stars and the universe beyond us, like the idea of something far greater and something that we can't necessarily understand, or we don't have all the answers to, but there's still this like a sort of equal parts awe and um, maybe a little bit of fear of the unknown. They come together with the star card. So there's like this excitement of, knowing that there is something in the works behind the scenes and stuff. So if you are doing a reading for yourself and you have a certain situation that you're just stuck on, or it doesn't make any sense, and the star card comes out, this doesn't necessarily have to be like related to spirituality specifically, like from a more religious context, but it can be sort of this idea of things being outside of your current understanding, and that's okay. You don't need to know all the inner workings for something to play out in your favor. Um, and I think that's sometimes a really hard pill to swallow. Um, but it's an important one, because there's a lot of, areas in our life, or times in our life where we're going to be faced with these challenges that, we can examine them time and time again and not get any closer to an actual answer. And we can choose to waste our time on it, or we can choose to kind of put our faith in the way of the flow of the universe, or just in time, and know that, it'll be taken care of. Taken care of. Is that what I said? it'll be taken care of. So we don't have to worry about that aspect of it. So this is a really, really supportive and lovely card to have. Um, and I mean, all the more if this is like your card, this is sort of a card that your deck frequently brings out for you. This can be like a really um, encouraging card, I guess. Or maybe, you've got to learn the lesson of just kind of trusting the universe a little bit more when it comes to how things play out in your life. And yeah, there's so much sort of quiet power in this card. Just a trust in the beyond, because there may be some things that haven't necessarily come to fruition yet, but they're on the timeline too. So got to be patient. Um, whenever I do these, like the moon, sun, stars, really any card, there's so many ways to make analogies with those images. Um, so really lean into that. I don't want to go through all the nitty gritty of like what the star can represent and the metaphorical kind of interpretations of stars or whatever it may be, because in building your relationship with your own tarot deck, you need to kind of figure this out for yourself in a way. But I do want to, put it into your hands where um, you have sort of a more, you go into your readings with an open mind of your own cultural influences, your own spiritual or religious belief systems and stuff, and you can use that to your advantage in order to develop a more personal relationship with your cards. So if there is an interpretation for one of these things that doesn't necessarily sit with you, listen to that. And I will go as far as to say, like, allow that perspective to change over time so long as it feels like it's meant to. Like, try not to fight if all of a sudden the feelings and associations that you had to the star, for example, start to shift. Like, at one point, it may have really been a symbol for hope for you, just generally hopefulness, um, a sign to have hope for a situation. And then all of a sudden it shifts into something like the creation of something new, a burst of light, or the envisioning of something in the future, something like that. Um, Allow your concepts to kind of slide and flow, and really listen to what your inner rhythm and your intuition is telling you to pick out in certain cards, because you never know, like, at different points in your life different cards are going to represent different things to you. um, I certainly have these moments where if I'm doing a reading, I'll have like even the emphasis on how a word is said is shifted. um like you This is an interesting way of interpreting it, but like, and this goes broadly for many cards. I'm just adding it in because we are wrapping up season 1, so I want to get all the information I can for you in these episodes. But imagine, like, when you're reading something, and we can take the word read. It's a great example. But when you're reading something and you come across the word READ, depending on the context of the rest of the sentence, you'll know if it's read or if it was read. So the tense changes. Still the same word, still the same spelling, different kind of denotation, different meanings kind of presented along the same lines, obviously, but it gives you time frame. And how you read the cards, there's going to be like an inner knowing of which interpretation to go with based on the context of the cards, the context of the situation, and sort of that click. Because if you read a sentence and it didn't, like, if you said the wrong word, like if I said, if you read, that works. Well, I guess like if you read a sentence, if you read a sentence, then there wouldn't be as much of a question of, maybe read was the wrong wrong choice, but like record and record, for example, another one, because the read one is getting too confusing for me at least. Maybe not for you. Maybe I've already made my point, but between record and record, these are spelled the same, but they carry two different meanings. There's two like varied interpretations of this. And again, based on context, as you're reading through something, you can't say hit record, because that would be confusing, and like reading it just doesn't sit right. Hearing it doesn't sit right. You're immediately made aware that something is off. Listen to that, apply that same kind of overlay of feeling to your cards when you're reading them, and how you interpret them, because there's a bunch of like sort of keywords for each card, but not all of them are going to fit with you. So this is a chance to train with your intuition and really listen in on which one of those doesn't fit for you, which one doesn't align in the sentence that is created by the spread that you've pulled out of your cards. Oh, sorry that was probably way more confusing than it needed to be. But hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say here. And hopefully it's useful to you in reading your cards. So yeah, that wraps up our episode for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to get out of this very warm sweater, but I will see you next week for the final episode of season 1. Thanks. Bye.